Hey Tamika, how are you?
I'm great. How are you, Floyd?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for joining us this year.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for having Honor Student.
Absolutely. So tell me where you're from.
I am originally born and raised in Miami, Florida.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yes.
And what happened after Miami, Florida? Where'd you go?
What happened? I went away to college. I went to Northwestern University, and then made my way to Hollywood after that, and got my start working in commercials. So I actually started on the production end. Started out as a PA, worked my way up to line producing commercials, and then transitioned into directing commercials and film and television.
Oh, okay. How long have you been doing that?
I've been directing for a little bit. Well, I've been even while I was producing, I was always directing. I was directing short films. I was always, trying to hone my craft.
Oh, okay. Excellent. Okay, so the film is entitled Honor Student.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about Honor Student.
Honor Student is a provocative thriller feature film that is about a teenage scholar who, after losing his twin brother in a mass shooting, decides he's had enough with America's complacency with gun violence. So he decides to take matters into his own hands. He holds the teacher hostage and proves America a lesson it will never forget.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what inspired, well, I know what inspired, but what brought you to write that? You wrote it?
I co-wrote it.
Co-wrote it
with a phenomenal screenwriter named Joe Reckman. And Joe's a great writer who's really a genre guy. So he really infused the thriller element to the film. And the thing that was the impetus for me co-writing the script was I knew that the subject around gun violence, around mass shootings would not go away. Whether it took me a year, 2 years, 7 years to make this film.
And what type of feedback have you had thus far with Honor Student?
Well, you invited me here. So
got you here, right?
You got me here. The reception has been amazing. A lot of work and a lot of attention to detail went into making this film. It was independently financed. I also wanted to write a script that I knew I could produce on my own and not have to go to the gatekeepers in order to secure financing to do. And so I'm very proud that myself and a handful of investors said yes, to making this film.
I guess he's a protagonist, but also an antagonist, right? Like, how do you describe that?
How would I describe the character?
Yeah, I mean, is he protagonist or antagonist?
He's a co-lead. He is a protagonist. He's an anti-hero.
Anti-hero. Okay.
Yes, someone might describe him.
As Eazy said, violent hero. I think.
A violent hero.
Violent hero. Yeah.
Okay.
That was his phrase, but nonetheless.
I didn't coin that.
No, that was his
Okay.
So why, or was there any thought into you choosing your male lead as an Asian man, or was he the best actor?
Well, I was very thoughtful in wanting it to be an Asian man because we don't often see an Asian man being the perpetrator. While it has happened, we don't often see an Asian man being the perpetrator of a potential mass shooting. And I was also very intentional because I wanted to cast actors of color. And I got some pushback, even from one of my own producers, co-producers, who is half Filipino, and with all the sort of Asian hate that's been happening in recent years, there was some pushback. Okay, do we have to cast this Asian actor? And I pushed back. I say, yeah, I get that it's challenging. I get that it's maybe tough for people to see, some fear around it. But I'm coming from a place of empowerment. It's easy for me to cast a white guy in this role, but I'm not going to do it.
Now, were there other considerations, or was he just like my guy? Like,
no, he auditioned. I saw a handful of Asian actors, and Hudson, who a lot of people might know from the series Fresh Off the Boat as a child actor, grew up on that show. He was someone who auditioned for the role. He really wanted the role. I called him back. I had him back for a call back, and I worked with him, and I decided that he was the best person for the role because what I really liked about Hudson was there's an innocence about him. He's unassuming, and that was really the thing that sort of tipped me or had me lean into him. And then once I cast Kelly Jenrette, who was a phone call, like I knew I wanted Kelly. I had worked with Kelly before on a television movie. I had directed her, and she was the kind of actress who I knew, say, okay, I'm going to work with her again. And so I called her up, sent her the script. She said yes. She was afraid because it's a significant role. But to get the two of them together, Kelly is such a perfectionist, and she is so at the top of her game, the game of acting. And it was remarkable to see Hudson, who didn't have as much experience, who was 17, and in real life on his way to Harvard, like the character is on his way to Harvard. It was amazing to see Hudson's transformation because he really had to meet Kelly where she was, and I think we captured all that.
So Hudson is the character from Fresh Off the Boat. He's the little dude from Fresh Off the Boat?
Yes, play Eddie, yes, on Fresh Off the
really?
Boat,
Okay.
yes.
So he was like, what, 13 back then?
He started out much younger, yeah.
Was he? Okay.
Yeah.
I've seen that show
The show's
a few
on
times.
5 years, yeah.
Yeah, and so what is he, how old is he now, roughly?
He is at Harvard in real life. He is, I think, in his second year.
He's in his 20s?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was 17, so we shot this actually during COVID. We shot this in 21.
Right.
And he was on his way to be a freshman at Harvard.
Okay.
So he's a second year at Harvard, I guess.
All right, and your running time is?
My running time is 82 minutes total.
Okay.
So it's a tight.
It's very tight. I like that. I like it.
You like it?
I like it
you
very
like
tight.
programming?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm doing, is programming.
Yes,
And I
yes.
like it very tight.
Yeah.
Now, what type of response have you gotten from the quote-unquote industry?
From the quote-unquote industry. Well, I don't have a distribution deal yet.
Okay.
But the reception has been great. But we're doing the film festivals, and the audience have all been remarkable and been really moved by the film, which means so much to me. In terms of the industry, it's still a work in progress.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's still a work in progress.
Any bites? Any nipples?
There have been, yes, absolutely. But it's also my intention to have as many people as I can see it and sort of raise the vibration around it before I go right into a distribution deal. If that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And so the idea that, an honor student, for example, is nominated for Best Feature in your festival, in our festival here, which is a remarkable honor, and that kind of just being nominated does something for the film. You know what I mean? People are curious about the film. People want to see, well, what is this film? Why does this film get this honor? So it's little things like that I think will ultimately help it find its home.
Now, is this your first feature?
This is not my first feature.
Okay, this is your...
This is my third feature.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Can you name the other two?
Yes, I've done a couple of TV movies. One, The Christmas Lottery, that aired on BET. It's a Christmas film, and another film called Back to the Good Life.
Okay.
So Back to the Good Life it was ensemble cast: Kyla Pratt, Nadine Ellis, great ensemble cast. The Christmas Lottery, another great ensemble cast.
What are some of the takeaways you want the audience that views Honor Student? What do you want them to take away from that?
The thing I would like for the audience to take away from seeing Honor Student is to be so affected that it is a call to action of sorts. I believe there are a lot of people in power that need not be there. And it is imperative that we don't sit back and become too numb to this subject, because eventually it's going to be at our front doors if it hasn't already come to our front doors. So I want the audience to get the word out about the film. I want legislators, policymakers, the White House to see this film. So for me, it's really a call to action to take our legislators to task, vote them out, when we need to, so we can get comprehensive gun legislation in place. Because this issue of the Second Amendment there's a fallacy around the Second Amendment, I think. And
Which
the Second
is?
Amendment was really born, out of a need for slave owners to keep their property in check. That's really what it was born out, this right to bear arms. And and the narrative around it has changed, And so my hope is that we can change the narrative.
I know there was a conversation about teachers having weapons in school.
Yes.
What is your opinion on that?
I think teachers having weapons in school is an awful idea. Is a bad idea.
Okay.
I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yeah,
That's ridiculous.
It is. It would be kind of messy, I think.
It'd be very messy. It would be stressful. It'd be messy. That's not the answer. I don't think that's the answer.
Right. Okay. Do you have an answer?
That's a great question. Do I have an answer? Yes, I do have an answer. But it is an answer that is not a popular answer. Countries like Japan go through, in order to own a gun, you have to go through quite a bit to own a gun. The United States of America is so far removed from this belief that it's really about what's best for the masses. We're all about individualism and our versus us, if that makes sense. And so I think guns should be taken away. I think we need to rewrite the Second Amendment. I don't think we all should have the right to bear arms. I think and I'm not saying take away all the guns, I'm saying there should be a very strict and rigorous system in place in order for someone to own a gun. It shouldn't be so easy.
Yeah,
and that's what I was really trying to speak to an honor student. It's easy. It's not hard to get a gun.
Right.
And we see what it can do, what mass destruction can do.
Right. Well, I want to thank you for the interview today.
Thank you.
Congratulations on your nomination.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me.
And so what's your next project?
My next project is I am doing a feature film, which will be my fourth feature film. It's called Undercard. It's with Wanda Sykes in her very, very first dramatic role, where Wanda plays a boxing trainer who connects with the son that she had previously abandoned and does what no other mother has ever done, and that's train her son to a world championship title. And it's, I can't wait for people to see it. No one will see this coming from Wanda. It's definitely a game changer.
Okay. All right, cool. All right, Tamika.
Thank you.